Hello everyone, welcome back to our channel. Thank you for joining us today. For today's video, we're going to give you some tips on growing main crop potatoes. The potatoes that we are going to plant are these, Maris Piper and Picasso.
Each year we grow about 50% of our potatoes in the ground and about 50% in buckets. Now you're just going to do a demonstration now of how we plant the potatoes in the bucket. Oh, doing a potato dance to begin with.
You want more?
Okay, so put your gloves on.
No, I will do it this first.
Okay, so what she's doing then is she's putting the potatoes into the bucket, 3 potatoes at the same level. Now this is a large 35 litre bucket. We use this is the one that we use for our main crop potatoes. We use bigger buckets, 35 litres, and we actually put 3 of the potatoes into the bucket. Now the growing medium has already had organic fertiliser mixed into it. It's a nice rich mixture. Okay, if you would like to actually start to cover up, please.
Are these enough?
That's fine.
All
You
right.
just put the compost on top now.
Tell me when.
The growing medium that you use in the bucket is really up to you. Some people will use home-produced garden compost. Others will use a medium that they have bought. Ours is a mixture of several different things, of topsoil and compost. It really depends what you've got available.
More?
A little bit more, please. Okay, so if you like to just level that up, please.
That's it?
That's great. Now give it a really good watering with a watering can, please. Okay, so we've planted
water.
3 potatoes. We planted 3 Picasso potatoes into the 35 litre bucket. A really nice growing medium in there. We've watered it well. That will now be going in our growing area, ready to grow on. Now, to show us when they're going to be ready, one of the things that we always do, and this is one of the tips we want to give you, is to actually plant one of these buckets at the end of each row so that it's easy to actually take the potatoes out to see whether they're ready. These buckets are expensive, and so you wouldn't want to plant all your potatoes in this way, but we have one of these at the end of each one of our rows so that we're able to actually take it out to see when the potatoes are ready. We're now going to move on to the vegetable garden, where we're going to plant into the ground. Okay, so we've now come across to the vegetable garden, to our raised beds, and this is where we're going to be planting some potatoes actually into the ground. We're just going to show you the way that we do it. You can see that I've already excavated quite a deep trench. I always like to plant the potatoes quite deep. So I've already excavated that trench. I've also put some slow release fertiliser and some potato fertiliser in there and dug it well into the bottom of the trench. So there's lots of goodness in there, ready to help the potatoes to grow. Now the way that I plant my potatoes is, I always use a cane, and I very carefully measure to begin with where I'm going to plant the potatoes, the location of the potatoes. That means as I go all the way down this bed, I'm going to get the potatoes in the same sort of position in each one of the rows that I'm going to plant.
How many centimeters?
So, sorry?
How many centimeters apart?
Well, I'm not sure exactly how many. It's about a foot apart. It's about 12 inches apart, just 11 or 12 inches, I think. It's a very good question, actually. So, I've put that into the hole, And so I'm now going to put the potatoes in.
Just follow the line.
I'm just following the line, yep. I'm following the line that I've put across, and I'm putting the potato next to the mark on the stick, on the cane.
So how many?
Okay, so I've put 5 potatoes in there. I guess that they are about a foot apart, about 11 or 12 inches apart. I think that's just about right. I've put them deliberately put them underneath the string, underneath the line. Okay, so I'm going to take that out now. And I'm going to start to put a little bit of the soil back in, but not everything to begin with. Just a little bit of the soil back in. Now I'll show you in a moment, I'll explain in a moment why I'm just doing a little bit of the soil to begin with. Okay, now one of the problems that we have in our garden is the perennial problem with slugs damaging the potatoes. Now when I was learning about gardening many years ago, the old country gardeners that I learned from used to employ strategies such as putting soot and ash into the holes to try to deter the slugs, to try and keep the slugs away. And that's what we still do today. Now in this bucket we've got some ash. We also use soot as well. We're actually going to use ash on this particular occasion. And we're putting ash, a layer of ash, into the trench to try to deter the slugs.
Okay. Deter slugs.
The theory is that the slugs absolutely hate the ash. They absolutely hate soot as well. If anything, soot may be possibly more effective. And so I've put that layer in like that. And I'm now going to cover it up. A more modern method that we use for deterring the slugs, for keeping the slugs away, is to use nematodes. Nematodes are really good.
What's that?
Well, you actually buy nematodes from it comes through the post. A little package comes through the post from a supplier like Growing Naturally or Marshall's, whatever. And you actually keep it in the fridge. But when you're going to use it, you take it out, yeah, and you empty the contents into a watering can, and you stir the nematodes in, and it actually brings the nematodes back to life. They're tiny microscopic little organisms.
Oh.
And they apparently feast on the slugs and the snails.
Oh.
Now we use that, and it is actually very good. I can actually recommend the nematodes, Nemaslug. The only problem is with the main crop potatoes, you would need to do 2 applications during the season. Well, we found anyway that you need to do 2 applications during the season to keep the slugs away, because after so long it actually wears off. But the nematodes are a very good idea. What we're doing, the ash and the soot, also helps as well. So I've put some ash in there. I've created a layer of ash. So now I'm going to fill in. Now the way that we always do this is, as you can see from what we've done already there, we actually make the ridge at the same time as we plant the potatoes. A lot of people, the old way of doing it is just to wait until the potatoes come up before you start to do the ridge. We like to do it earlier on. We think that this actually is an easier way of doing it. And that's why I've still left this line in. I want to make sure that I'm putting the ridge in the right place. Potatoes are directly underneath the line, and so I'm making the ridge where the line is. Okay, so that gives you some idea then of how we plant our potatoes. Obviously those will need to be really well watered in. So that shows the 2 ways that we plant our potatoes, in the buckets and then directly into the ground, and we hope that we've given you some useful tips to help you in your planting. Hope you plant some potatoes this year. Hope you have a lot of success. Thank you.